Hi, welcome. My name is Michaela, and this summer my dad and I planted our first garden ever, really. We made a video about the planting process, but I wanted to do a check-in now that it's a few months later. Today is August 8th, and I'm here tonight because our garden's having some problems, but before I get into that, I wanted to talk about some of the successes that we've had. So our snap peas were one of the first things to come in. Those are a crop. It's an airplane. Our snap peas were one of the first things to come in. We planted them over by the side, and they're a type of crop that does better when it's cooler, so you plant them extra early, even before the last frost. And then we were able to harvest for a good few weeks, I would say probably throughout the month of June, and they were so good, such a good snack to be able to take home. So that was very exciting. We also had a lot of our strawberries start to come through in June. We had a little bit of a battle against slugs for a while, and so to prevent slugs from eating our strawberries, we actually buried cans that had beer in it, which attracts the slugs into the fermented beer because they like that scent of fermentation, I believe. What are you doing there?
I'm setting up a party for slugs.
Party for
It's a
slugs.
beer bash.
What's a beer garden? It's literally a beer garden for the slugs.
Hoping they all come over.
Yeah. And so the slugs crawl into the beer cans, which are like buried in the ground, and drown. So that was pretty disgusting to clean out the slugs from the beer cans, but it seemed to be effective. And so our strawberries are still going. They're ever-bearing strawberries rather than June-bearing strawberries. So they continue to put out new fruit kind of throughout the summer. We've had kale, which has been providing for us pretty much from the beginning, and it just keeps giving. So we have 4 of these types of kale plants, and then we have a second variety of kale plant, or for some reason we only have 1 of that type. With all of them, they've been doing really well. We've just been kind of, every time we come, taking a few of the leaves towards the bottom, and I've enjoyed that so much because I love kale. And my dad's even started to eat kale, which is pretty exciting. He didn't like kale before, so that's been really enjoyable. We've had our cucumbers come in, and for a while they were doing great. One of our problems that came up just within the last week is our cucumber plants have started to kind of become yellow and brown. I don't know if it's because of the major heat wave we had the other week, or overwatering, or a bacterial or fungal disease. I'm not sure. We're going to do a little bit of research to try and figure that out, but so far we've had a lot of good cucumbers come from our cucumber plants as well. The one I picked last night, or a couple nights ago, was massive. I think we waited too long to pick it. We had radishes that came in really early in the season. Those grew really easily. They were really delicious, and we pretty much harvested all of them probably within the month of June as well. There was one daikon radish that was mixed in with the normal radish seeds, and so that was really funny to see that pop up. We didn't plant it deep enough because we planted it with all the other radish seeds, and so it was like this big white root growing up out of the ground. I think our carrots are almost ready to be harvested. Looks pretty good. And then I think our beets might be ready to be harvested tonight as well. The beets didn't do great. I think we only had like 2 of them that actually grew, but hopefully they taste good. We'll see. My mom really likes beets, so those are really for her. We have our Brussels sprout plants in the back. We have 5 of them, and we had a little bit of an issue right at the beginning when things were starting to grow. One of them got strangled. So I have pictures of that. That was kind of crazy. And then I think that was actually in the first video too. I'm getting bit up back here. We then had to fight off caterpillars. They infested one of the Brussels sprout plants and started to infest the other one. We have pretty bad infestation. And so when I first came and saw that, I literally like took a pair of scissors and just started snipping up the caterpillars and picking them out one by one. And so I got all of them, and then we did use some type of insecticide to kind of help prevent that as well. And we haven't had them come back, which is good. Our Brussels sprout plants seem to be thriving. We just have to figure out when and how we harvest them because I have no clue right now. Our pepper plants have been doing pretty well. We've had green peppers, jalapenos, more of like a mid-size sweet pepper, and then these weird shaped peppers. I don't know what they're called, but they're pretty good as well. I've cooked with them a few different times and I really like their flavor. They're not too hot, but they're kind of an interesting flavor. And so those are still putting out a lot of peppers, but it seems like some of our other pepper plants have started to slow down a little bit. I don't know if that's normal or because something's wrong. We have potato plants that hopefully are doing their thing. I don't know. We have garlic and onion that we haven't harvested yet. And then the tomato plants. We were really excited about tomatoes, and luckily we've had a decent harvest so far. So a lot of cherry tomatoes have come through. I've had maybe 4 or 5 large heirloom tomatoes, but when I was here yesterday, I noticed that our tomato plants seem to have some kind of disease. I don't know if it's a fungal disease, a bacterial disease, some other kind of problem, but they're all dying. I don't know. My dad's coming later. We're going to try to figure it out. We're probably going to use some fungicide on them if we think that's what's wrong. So it's kind of a bummer, but seems like the cherry ones were doing okay. It was mostly affecting our big heirloom tomato plant. I think it's starting to spread to our cherry tomato plants. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're hopefully going to be able to, I don't know, cut off some of the dead parts, try to remedy the situation. It might be a lost cause for the year, but I really hope not. So that's kind of the update on the garden. Honestly, we're running into problems at this point, but I feel like we've done pretty well for our first year, and we've definitely been able to enjoy a lot of fresh vegetables.